Hi, everybody, and welcome to this session about technology for planet and climate. We have 10 years left to achieve the SDGs, 10 years to halve greenhouse gases, 10 years for system change and collaborative action. And so the goal of this session is to take a deep dive into the intersection of tech and climate, to discuss visions for a more sustainable future and the practical efforts to get us there. And we're very lucky today to have with us three social entrepreneurs from India and Indonesia. We have Pakonte of Telepac from Indonesia, Rita of Dusty Foot Foundation from India, and Sano from Greeneration in Indonesia. This is going to be a rapid fire session. We're really excited to have you with all of us. We have 30 minutes to cover a lot of ground. And so I'm gonna jump right in. My name is Anae, by the way. I'm with Ashoka, based in Berlin. And I want to hear from each of you, starting with you, Rita. Tell me in just 2 minutes, so everybody knows who we're talking with, what the problem you're tackling, and how technology is helping you do this.
Okay, so I'm from the northeast of India, and it's one of the most biodiverse regions. In fact, it's part of the Indo-Myanmar biodiversity hotspot. It forms 1/8 of India's land, but 25% of India's forest is here. But there's been a rapid change and a lot of loss of natural areas, mining, monoplantations, forests and rivers being destroyed. And there's a huge disconnect among the youth from their own natural resources. So we run a project called the Green Hub, which looks at engaging youth around the region, especially belonging to indigenous communities, in conservation action and social change through the use of the visual medium, by using video to tell stories, as well as to connect back with nature. So we're trying to build a network of change makers in the region who look at ecological security as the foundation for a sustainable future. So that's what we are trying to do.
Thank you, Rita. Ante, I'll invite you next to introduce your work.
Thank you, Hani. My name is Onte from Telapak. Telapak is a social entrepreneur in Indonesia. We start our work with the advocacy. We produce so many reports about deforestation in Indonesia, illegal logging, etc. And after that, we not only doing advocacy, but also try to find solution to get together with the illegal loggers, try to transform from illegal to be sustainable forest management. And we use technology for do that. And now I'm happy because we are grow rapidly in Indonesia, and people protect their forest not only for environment, but also for their life. So we create economic impact, and then they protect their life, their forest by themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ante. And last but not least, Sano.
Yeah, my name is Sano. I'm from Indonesia, from organization Greeneration Indonesia. Mostly we are fighting for the SDGs number 12, sustainable consumption and production. We believe that this also part of complex issue and be part of the problem of environment because of our behavior on production and consumption, mostly about waste. And it is a very complex issue because a lot of stakeholder in it. So we believe that technology can be a platform and enabler to connect all the stakeholder and then to sharing, discuss, collaborate, innovate together. So we understand that the history of Japan to solve waste, they need 50 years. We do hope we don't need to wait for 50 years to solve waste in Indonesia. And we hope that technology can fast forward for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sano. And picking up on that, one of the things that was mentioned in the previous session, which many of you who are attending now might have also seen, Dr. Park, who is from South Korea and works specifically on online child safety. She was talking about this trend, at least in the narrative, where people are talking about data as the new oil. And she's seeing that as quite dangerous, in part because we are essentially the oil, and it means about it's extracting our, our personal data, essentially, mostly for the benefit of commercial interests, which is not necessarily wrong, but there's all sorts of dynamics there. What I want to draw us to, though, is the generative rather than extractive power of data. And so, Sano, if you could help us understand how data powers your work, why is data important in solving this waste management issue? Can you give us a picture of how that works?
Like Einstein said, we cannot improve what we cannot measure. So data is very important to understand what is our baseline currently and what we aim in the future, and can we see the growth, can we measure our improvement, and we can evaluate monitoring, and we can improve much faster and create a decision better with data.
And so what kind of data do you aggregate?
So that's why data, and we are crowdsourced 34 provinces all across Indonesia that we are working together with community. So that's very important, and the beauty of technology that we are equal. Everyone can be part of it, everyone can be joined, and everyone can also give a feedback on it. So this is the true participation, and we believe that this can be faster for a better change.
And can you give us an example of the kind of data that you crowdsource?
Yeah, and the example, the data that we are crowdsourcing is illegal dumping. We want to know in Indonesia, the society can provide the data where is the waste ends up not in the right place. So within this, we can communicate to the government, we can do the real action on the ground to evaluate and also to mitigate this and solve this problem. Not only the illegal dumping or negative data, but we also currently creating the positive data like recycling center, waste bank, composting center, community-based action. So we crowdsource all this data so everyone can understand that behind the problem, there is also possibility and a good potential, mostly if we are working together.
That's very interesting, because if I think about your work, Ante, there's quite a parallel there in terms of using the data both to track what is not working and also to amplify what is working, maybe as inspiration for more citizens to be part of the effort as well. Can you tell us what that looks like in your own work?
Oh yeah, we I think since beginning we usually use data for advocacy. When we start our work, we call it in Telapak data tak terbantahkan. No undeniable data. So we working together with the people surrounding the forest to collect the data about illegal logging and etc. Yeah, so everything, and then come to our office. We help them to make a video too, short video. So Telapak work with many indigenous people to build video. But after that, when we also working in solution based, so we transform from illegal logging to community logging. So we use data for inventory all the forests, all the trees. So all the trees in the people land, they make an inventory, how big, the size, diameter, and everything. So this data will help us to make a forecasting for our businesses. How many log we have in the next month, in the next year? How many thick trees? How many mahogany? How many? So the data is very helpful for us. And then we put barcode there, and then we can track all the trees come from our system. And then if maybe you buy wood from our sources, maybe with the barcode, you know exactly this wood you use come from farmers. Who farmers? Where is the place? Where is the trunk? Where is the coordinate? So we use that and very helpful, very efficient for us.
And Rita, in your case, and this is something that we see with many Ashoka Fellows, is once we have, and social entrepreneurs more generally, once we have the data, once we're able to measure things because there is data, we're then also able to transform the data into stories. And stories are particularly important to drive people to action. Can you tell us a little bit about what's the importance of storytelling and data in your own work, where storytelling is at the core?
Yeah, I think, Hane, the first question you brought up, that too much data is also not easy. Like, it's not just a question about data, but how do you really use the data, which is the question. We have a lot of data. So our data is mainly the video footage. And, while the video footage itself is valuable because we are working with biodiversity, so you're building a, biodiverse, identifying birds and things like that. But what is the core of our work is converting that into the stories, like you said. And it's the stories which help in amplifying the voice of conservation. It is the stories which are helping to without the story, we cannot have those dialogues. Like Ante and Sano said, ultimately, how does it reach many people? So for us, that's the core. It's a fellowship program. So there are many fellows, youth from the region who are collecting these video stories, taking it back to the community, as well as these stories, because of technology, you can say social media and the kind of platforms where we can show it now, goes out into the world and goes out into many other areas. So how it's helping is, I think it's helping to amplify dialogue on conservation. It is helping for advocacy, as well as it's taking these stories out of the region and connecting with similar stories elsewhere. So I think it is a very, very strong medium. It's a very, very strong tool for conservation. And I think the stories are very key to any kind of data which is being collected. How are you going to use it finally,
One of the things that we have seen over the last several weeks leading up to this summit, we were interviewing many of you and other Ashoka Fellows, other social entrepreneurs, to start seeing what are some of the trends and the ways that social entrepreneurs use technology for the good of humanity. And one of the key things, probably unsurprisingly, is that all of you use technology as a way to increase people's agency. And data is part of that, storytelling is part of that. For either any of the three of you, do you have any stories or examples of how that plays out in your work?
I could share a small story, like, like I was telling you, one of the fellows, I mean, they come from areas where you still have the left, whatever forest is left and rivers left, and people are still living with those ecosystems. So he came actually to learn video and filmmaking, but like I was saying, how do you use a tool to transform minds? So we have a 1-year residential, it's quite an immersive program. So it's not just about learning film, but how do you start looking at the video, looking at the footage? How do you learn from that? So through that entire process, there's a shift in him understanding the link between conservation and the forest and rivers he was living with, and today he has gone back to the community while he uses video to document whatever is happening. But today he's talking to the community to restore the forest areas, to bring back the forest in his area, bring back the water in his area. So I think when you can link technology to actual groundwork, when you can transform technology to actual action on the ground, I think nothing can be stronger than that. Both isolated will have their impact maybe, but it's like this, what it says, technology and humanity. Unless you bridge that, it's very difficult to talk about change. So that's what I've seen. I mean, it's been a fantastic tool that way.
Ante or Sano, do you have examples within your own work of how technology has increased, or you're using technology to increase people's agency over the problems that they face?
People what?
Agency. So the feeling that they can do something about it, they can take action.
Oh, yeah. So with our system, I think we have a funny story in the beginning, yeah, when we use technology to calculate how meter cubic the trees, and then the people in the forest, oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it because very important to them to know how many meter cubic they have. And this technology, you only take pictures and then the technology can count the meter cubic. Oh, no, 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 no. So, and then in the beginning, we start together, still take pictures, but together with them, still manually, yeah? Still manually. After that, they can see, oh, yeah, same, yeah, but the technology very fast. So after that, yeah, they use technology, and we learn one, if people, very important to explain to people to know, oh, this technology very helpful for me and not cheating me. So when they understand the technology like that, they will use and they learn. They learn and they learn. Now, all the system of our technology used by the farmers. So we say it in Telapak, even you have a good technology, will be nothing if you don't have the people organization as a foundation. Because only a strong people organization, technology can grow fast. So this is we learn because if technology itself is not working, even very sophisticated, I think this is fun, yeah. And sometimes you want to calculate the area, we use drone. With drone, you can calculate any. In the beginning, they don't want because they said if you do use drone, what can we do? We can do it. Go to calculate our forest. Why must technology? So we have a mix between technology and people, so everybody can happy. So in Telapak we call it apa namanya human centered design technology, like that.
And Sano, what about in your work?
Yeah, there is story that technology, of course, can be empowering people to do some change because information is very important. How to deal with waste, what do they need about the waste, sometimes in the area that the government. Yeah, so information is very important and information will be empowering and technology can make it happen to people can access the information so they can solve their ways independently. So for us, it's very important. And number two, in Indonesia, we are facing about law enforcement. We have the regulation that we cannot throw the waste to the river. It can be a sanction. It can be a fine. And also we cannot burn our waste, but we lack of law enforcement. And within the technology can be a proof and evidence, photo, video. Within this, the society can be part of the change and can be the partner of the government, and then can enforce the regulation and create fair ecosystem about waste. So we believe that and agree with Bang Onte that technology is enabler. We still need the people and the organization and the system behind the technology can complement each other. So we believe it can be make a faster solution and decision and need man and system behind the technology.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of, I've seen very few fellows who believe that technology are going to, social entrepreneurs that believe that technology is going to fix everything. In fact, technology also may create new problems or new challenges that need solutions that are not technology enabled. I'm curious in each of your work. Rita, you mentioned at the beginning, sometimes too much data can be a challenge. You were all mentioning the importance of kind of offline grassroots engagement to power these things that technology enable. Are there specific challenges that you've encountered in your own work that is directly connected to the advancement of technology, or are there new challenges that technology itself presents to your ability to have impact? So the pitfalls of technology in a way.
Yeah. So, Hanif, for us, actually, I think till now, whatever technologies, it's mainly the video and the stories and whatever online platforms are there, offline platforms are there, that has actually been very useful. Because simple thing like WhatsApp, you know, now there are fellows who are in very remote areas. There's no other technology which is working, but for communication, even in that remote area, something like that works. So just keeping in touch with them about what, because a lot of our work is related to what they're doing post the fellowship. So technology has helped us in keeping in touch with them, but at some level they've been there is something happening across the region which is pretty serious, which is the not directly related to our work, but is something which we have to work on, is that now phones have reached everywhere, and with that a lot of information is reaching everywhere. At the same time, the youth who are going to the colleges and the schools, they're in the education system, it disconnects them from where they are. It's like you don't value what you have, but you want to migrate to urban areas. And in recent times, from many of the areas, we've been hearing stories of young people committing suicides. you know there's no real research on that, but the only conversations you can have, and actually people are planning to work on that. So one does not know whether it's related to technology, whether it's related to the gap in the education system which exists, which does not connect them to the land. Is it the disconnect from the traditional systems, the good of the past, not being able to merge with the good of the future? So I think this is one challenge, and this is one area where, because we are working with youth, we're trying to see how can one work with that? How can we find out where the core reasons are? I don't know if it answers your question, but I thought I'll just bring that up. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm originally from Canada, and this is the same challenge exists there with Indigenous communities. And I think, yes, of course, technology is not the only reason for it, but perhaps this feeling of disconnection is one of the ingredients. Ante and Sano, or Ante first maybe, and then I'll make some time at the end for, we have one audience question. If somebody else has a burning question, please submit it in the chat, and we'll see if we can bring it to the panelists. So Ante, the question was around, the question was around whether you are facing new challenges that maybe you weren't a few years ago, that you think are connected to the rise of technology. Are there certain pitfalls to relying on technology in your work?
Yeah. I think now we have a very detailed information because of technology. We have the database of the farmers, even their family, even their bank account, even their phone number, their children, where they school, database of farmers. And then second, we have a database of the land, how much size of the land and how many land they have. And then the third database is we have how many trees in each land and what kind of the trees they have and how many diameter. This huge of data, it's a big of data, and we can make a calculation and everything, but what our challenge is how to protect the data, for example, or who belongs the data. In Telapak, we built one company, but the shareholders is the farmers. So the company itself belongs of data, have a data, and we put in iCloud, of course, with all the term we believe, data is safe. But I think what makes us think now is how to replicating fast with the previous technology, with the latest one. But if we open for open source and everything, is for us, it's no problem with, we are not copyright. We are right to copy the system and everything. But how to protect the data still owned by the farmers, still owned. Even we open source, how can we make sure the farmers still have the data, because the data we collect, sometimes we are so very surprising with the data we have. So everything, even carbon footprint now, we know exactly how many stock carbon in our commodity forestry, but we not sell carbon now. But maybe if somebody here want to use our carbon for carbon neutral, it's okay. The data is already there. And when pandemic come with COVID-19, our wood market is down. But lucky for us, because we have database of the non-timber forest product, now we produce like antibacterial briquette. So the antibacterial briquette, it come from non-timber forest product like daun salap itu apa ya? Like non-timber forest product, lemongrass and something like that. And we go to laboratorium, and laboratorium said, oh, 99.9% of bacteria is died because of that. So this is because the data. We have how many lemongrass, how many this. So we can respond fast. Our response for the situation is fast. This is, I think, very good. Thank you, Anu.
Thank you, Ante. I'm just conscious of the time. We have about 3 minutes left, and I do want to take at least one audience question. And I think it could be directed at any of you, though it might be more pertinent to your work, Ante, I'm not sure, but whoever wants to chime in on this. This was a question from Joji Felicitas Panto. I think the last name might actually be cut out here, but the question is, do you encounter problems where people documenting the extractive action of big corporations gets harassed by the securities of those corporations to the point of losing your life? So what are the security risks that people face in doing this kind of work?
Who will respond? Telapak, in the beginning, I think 2 of Telapak members almost killed because we try to document the illegal logging process in Borneo, and they arrest our members and almost kill because of looking for the data. Because for us, we never publish data if the data is not the undeniable data. So we want to make sure the data is true. And yeah, we have so many harassed by police, by army, by people in company. But it is the last, in the past. Now we more collaborating with people who want to working together, because now we understand the situation. We cannot face to face with the private company. Maybe the time now not to partnership like SDGs point 17. Partnership for the partnership. So I think we now create the partnership.
Thank you, Ante. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Sano. I think we could keep this conversation going probably for a few more days, but now we have to, it's the end of this session.